That is a simple chicken tractor right there. These top posts, or the top post and the two bottom posts, are 12 foot long, and these 2x4s on the sides holding it in the triangle shape are 4 foot long. So I have 4 foot chicken wire that goes down to the ground. Now I don't have to worry about things getting in the greenhouse because I have chicken wire around the outside of the greenhouse that goes down underground by I think 8 to 10 inches. We've had squirrels and stuff. You can see dig marks once in a while. We've had squirrels try and get in the greenhouse and not be able to get in yet. And it's been up a year, maybe a little over a year. We've had the chickens in here over the winter. Squirrels couldn't get in here, couldn't bother the chickens. So with that being said, this chicken tractor should be fairly secure in here. And we're not going to be using it as a chicken tractor. What we're going to be using it for is to raise baby chicks. We have a hen in our hen house laying on now 10 eggs. When she started sitting on the eggs, there were 7 eggs in there. And we marked them all with a Sharpie, little line on them, so we'd know which eggs were in there first. I don't know how long she was sitting on them before we actually saw her sitting on them, but it's been about 3 weeks since we first spotted her sitting on the eggs in there. So we're thinking that they should hatch out if they're going to. They should hatch out within a few days. If you look on the internet, I think they say 21 to 28 days. I've never hatched chickens out, so I have no idea. And I don't know if it matters if they're in an incubator versus having a chicken sit on them. So when they hatch out in there, we're going to transfer the mama and the little baby chicks into this chicken tractor right inside the greenhouse. As far as feeding them and watering them, I can have a bowl of food and a bowl of water. Since this is actually at an angle, not a box, I can just pour some water in, put some chicken food in. I don't have to pick the thing up to feed and water them. From what I've heard about chickens, you're supposed to keep the chicks separate from the rest of your flock for about 6 weeks until they're grown up enough that they can kind of fend for themselves. There is obviously a pecking order of the chickens. My chickens have already figured that out, but the new chicks that come in, depending on how many there are, they'll have to figure out their spot in the pecking order. So about 6 weeks in this thing, and we'll let them out in the yard. Another reason we have this is because my cats are very good hunters, and they'll probably pick these little chicks off one at a time, and I definitely don't want that to happen. So stick them in here for 6 weeks, let them out in the yard. We are going to have to build a bigger chicken coop, and that is in the plans, in the works. Just going to take a little bit of time. So right now we have 8 chickens, 1 rooster, and 10 eggs she's sitting on right now, but it started out as 7, and those original 7 have marks on them so that we know which ones those are. We'll see if any of them hatch out. So we might be counting our chickens before they hatch, but I'd rather have this sitting here waiting, being as we're not using the greenhouse for a second summer in a row. Might as well have a little chicken tractor in here waiting for chicks to hatch out just in case they do. Not hurting anything, and I'd rather be prepared than scrambling at the last minute as little chicks are running around my yard where my cats can eat them. So I have been pretty busy around here the last couple days, last 2-3 days has been doing a lot of cleanup work. So I'll take you outside and kind of show you what I've been doing. This was where the dog run used to be. This all used to be fenced off. I got all the T-posts pulled out of the ground, finished taking the chain link fence down. Got the tractor in here, dug up a bunch of little stumps from some of the trees we'd cut down and thinned out when we first moved in. And then I took the tractor around and kind of drug the bucket to smooth all the dirt back out. Our dogs had dug some holes, and then digging the holes for digging the stumps up. It made kind of a mess of the area. But it looks a little bit better now. Kind of organized up a little bit. Now further down into the property here, we've got an area that's within the fenced in area of our yard, but it's really dense. Like, it's just a lot of stuff laying down, a lot of dead trees on the ground right there, a lot of undergrowth. I went through and chainsawed a bunch of stuff up, made some burn piles that I can't burn until, well, next winter. The burn ban is in effect as of right now, so we won't be burning anything else until late in the fall. But we've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 burn piles down here ready to go and I'm probably gonna make another 2 burn piles out there with all that stuff. And I've got some logs kind of chopped up right there for next year's firewood. Now they're expecting this fire season to be super dry and pretty long. They put the burn ban into effect, I think 3 weeks early, because it's so dry. We haven't got hardly any rain, hardly any snow over the last winter. The wind kicking up like right now, it's drying everything out super dry. So we're not allowed to burn any more this year outside. The only thing you can burn is if you have a wood burning stove in your house to heat your house, you can use that to heat your house. But you cannot have a campfire. You can't have, I don't think you can have even like a barbecue with the briquettes. You have to have a propane barbecue. They don't want anything that's going to throw a spark in the air. And that's normal for any burn ban season. They don't want any sparks going up in the air. So it just went into effect a little bit early this year. I did get on my tractor and I made special fire trails throughout my property because I'm a little worried about this fire season. I know it's super dry. I'm looking at my yard, it's super dry. It's really dense, it's hard to get into. So I made the one trail to get that log, that really big log, and then I went through and cut other trails all the way through the back part of my property. Right now I have access from the south end of my property. There's a trail that goes all the way to the back corner, and then it kind of wraps around, not straight, but it kind of wraps around and goes in a loop all the way around the back half of my 40 acres. And that is just in case there's a fire that rolls through here. A fire truck can get back there, the little brush trucks they have can get back there and help put the fire out. Plus, being a fire trail, it's going to be mineral soil. It's going to be more like a fire break in case a fire comes through. It's going to help slow it down or hopefully stop it. So as we get up toward the road, we've got another dense area of my property. This area has a lot of little pine trees. A lot of the bigger pine trees had mistletoe in them and the beetles got in and killed them. So over the past couple of years, we've just been cutting them down and using the wood for either firewood or milling it out for the blue pine. But all these little pine trees, we're trying to thin those out little by little and then making burn piles with all the stuff that's laying on the ground. Now we've still got too many little pine trees up here. I've been working on that last couple days. I'm trying to let them grow and see which ones have mistletoe in them. The ones that have mistletoe in them, I'm pulling out by the root, and I'll leave the ones next to it. If you haven't seen it before, that's what mistletoe does to a pine tree in the Pacific Northwest. It takes the branches and just makes them all gnarled like some old witch's fingers, you know, just kind of gnarled up. And it depends on where it gets into the tree. It can be all the way to the top. This tree, it stopped growing at the top and just started gnarling up. So it's got mistletoe on the very top of it. So we didn't move out here to clear cut this property. We moved out here to live in the trees. Love the property. It's got a ton of big tall trees. It's just unfortunate that the mistletoe is just going through and infecting the majority of these trees. And then you have the pine beetle that goes through and infects a lot of trees. So you have a lot of trees that are dying off. And this patch of trees back here, these little ones are trying to grow up. So we're going through, and as much as we don't want to, we're cutting down these tall trees that have mistletoe in them, getting them down on the ground, cutting them off, cutting the branches off, using them as firewood, putting the branches in burn piles and burning them. If we can keep the mistletoe, if we can cut the trees down that have the mistletoe in them, then the mistletoe doesn't have a chance to really float around too much and infect other trees. It'll let these trees back behind us, it'll let those grow up. May not be our lifetime, but our kids will see these trees grow up nice and tall and super healthy. That's all we can really do. Try and make it healthier than it was when we moved in. So that's what I've been doing the last couple days, just working on the property, cleaning it up, trying to make it look nicer, getting ready for next burn season, which will be, well, we don't like to burn things until the snow hits the ground, so probably October, November. By that time, I might have 30 or 40 burn piles ready to burn, one at a time, little by little. Until next time, guys, go make something.